The term sheet is open on your screen. It is 11:14 at night. The founder is 28 years old and somewhere in San Francisco, probably sleeping. You are not sleeping. You are modeling the dilution waterfall on a $6 million seed round that may never return a dollar. You are 24 years old. You have a finance degree, a master's in computer science you almost finished, and a business card that says associate. The fund manages $280 million across 2 vintages. You did not choose the deals. You did not write the checks. You built the models other people used to decide. You sourced 40 companies this quarter. 3 made it past the first partner meeting. 1 received a term sheet. This one. You have been on 14 founder calls in the past 2 weeks. You prepared the memos. You sat in the back of every partner meeting and said nothing unless asked. You watched what the partners looked for, the way they leaned forward when a market size was large enough to matter, the way they went still when a founder's story had a gap in it. You noticed everything. You wrote it down. You always write it down. The deal closes. The founders shake hands over a video call. Your managing partner signs the term sheet. Your name is in the email chain. That is all. That is still something. You source 140 companies in the next 6 months. You talk to founders in their cars, in coffee shops, in offices that are just shared WeWork tables. You learn to identify a certain kind of energy, not confidence, something older, a specific refusal to accept an industry's existing logic. You are getting better at finding it. Your managing partner starts routing inbound deal flow through you instead of the other associates. That shift is small. It is also the entire thing. By month 8, you are sitting in partner meetings without being asked to prepare the memo first. You are being prepared yourself.
2 years in, your title is principal. It is a title that means almost, but not yet. You lead sourcing for the fund's enterprise software vertical. You have your own inbound flow now. Founders email you directly. Some of them have heard your name in a room you were not present for. That is new. You bring your first deal to the table alone. A vertical SaaS company targeting mid-market logistics, $11 million Series A, pre-money at $38 million. You built every part of the thesis yourself, the market map, the competitive moat, the founder reference calls. You present it for 22 minutes. The room asks 40 minutes of questions. Your managing partner says nothing for most of it. Then he asks one question about customer concentration. You have the answer, exact numbers. You knew the question was coming. The deal passes, not because the company was wrong, because the fund's existing portfolio has overlapping exposure. You walk back to your desk. You rebuild the thesis. You find another entry point 6 months later. That company is acquired 18 months after your check clears, 4.1x. You don't celebrate. You recalibrate. The question you ask yourself is not whether you were right. The question is whether you found it early enough. You were 3 months late. You know it. Nobody else does. You write it in the notebook you keep that nobody else reads. You now sit on 2 boards as an observer, not a decision maker. You watch how decisions are made at that level, who defers to whom when the numbers stop cooperating, how a founding CEO's confidence changes when the growth curve bends. You learn more in boardrooms than you ever learned in partner meetings. You stop talking entirely in the ones where you are not required to speak. You are building a map of the entire failure topology of early-stage technology companies. That map is the most valuable thing you own. You don't know yet how valuable. You are about to find out. You leave. You raise a fund. This is the gap everyone politely glosses over. The part between having conviction and having capital. It takes 14 months. You meet 74 limited partners. 47 of them pass. Some of them pass twice. You learn to hear the no underneath the language people use when they want to say no without saying it. A family office in Denver tells you your track record is promising. Promising means no. A fund of funds in Zurich tells you the strategy is interesting. Interesting means no. You close $80 million from 11 LPs, 1 university endowment, 2 family offices, a corporate venture arm. The rest are individuals. High net worth individuals who believe in you because they have met you and because someone you trust has met you. Capital follows relationships. You knew this abstractly before. Now you know it with your entire body. The first check into your fund comes from a man named Forsyth. He gives you $8 million. He asks 2 questions. He does not ask about returns. He asks who else is in and whether you will be doing this in 10 years. Both answers are yes. The fund closes. You write the first check the following Monday, $3.4 million into a developer tooling company with $180,000 in ARR. You are no longer analyzing whether someone else should take this risk. You are the risk. The distinction is total. Fund 1 returns 2.9x net. Not exceptional, respectable. 1 company goes to 0, 2 are written down significantly, 1 is acquired at 7x, 1 becomes something else entirely. A company you invested in at a $14 million pre-money is now valued at $1.1 billion. You own 9.4% of it, fully diluted. Your carry on that position alone will be worth more than your entire salary history. You do not sell. You hold. You wait. Everyone tells you to take money off the table. You do not take money off the table. You do not take money off the table because you have sat across from enough founders who sold early and then watched what they sold turn into something permanent. You will not be that person. That decision is the first time you understand the difference between playing not to lose and playing to win. They are different games. They require different nerves. You raise Fund 2. $220 million. It closes in 4 months. The same people who said promising the first time now say transformative. Language follows performance.
Fund 3 is $480 million. You lead Series A and B rounds in enterprise, infrastructure, and applied AI. You have a team now, 2 principals, 4 associates, an operating partner who was a COO at one of your portfolio companies. You have a point of view that the market has started to quote back to you in places you are not present. That is the clearest signal you have found that you have moved from participant to reference point. You know which founders are exceptional before their companies show it in numbers. You can feel it in the way they talk about the problem, not the solution, the problem. The exceptional ones are never done understanding the problem. You have a framework for this that you have never written down. It lives in your head, and it produces decisions faster than any model you have ever built. You are wrong sometimes. The wrongness teaches more than the rightness. You have made peace with this asymmetry. Your best investments have all felt uncomfortable at the moment of conviction. The ones that felt clean and logical returned 1.6x. The ones that felt like a controlled fall returned 11x. This pattern never stops being unsettling. You sit on 7 boards now. Full board seats, not observer seats. You vote. You fire founders when it is necessary. You have done it 3 times. Each time the company improved. Each time the conversation lasted 45 minutes. The first one you drove home afterward in silence. The third one you had already moved to the next item before you reached the parking garage. You are not certain which version of yourself is more functional. You have stopped being certain about that kind of question. Your marriage is intact. The word intact is doing significant work in that sentence. Your spouse understands the fund cycle the way some people understand the seasons. Predictable shape, brutal in certain months, something you plan around without discussing. You miss things, dinners, school events, a long weekend that never happened. You do not miss them dramatically. That is its own quiet information. Fund IV is $1.1 billion. You are one of 3 managing partners. Your name is on the door now, literally. Gold letters on matte black. You did not choose the font. Someone else chose the font. You approved it without thinking about it. You are 39 years old. You have deployed over $600 million across 4 funds. 3 of your portfolio companies have gone public. One of them anchors an entire category of enterprise software that did not exist when you wrote the first check. The category is now worth $40 billion. You own a position that has never been fully sold. It returns more in quarterly dividends than you earned in your first 4 years of salary. You are aware this is not something most people can map onto their own life. You have stopped trying to make it relatable. It is not relatable. It is just your life. You have adapted to the scale the way you adapted to everything else. Slowly, then completely.
The ethical gradient at this level is not about individual decisions, it is about structural influence. You sit on the boards of 7 companies. You have introduced 3 of them to each other. 2 of those introductions became acquisitions. 1 became a market consolidation that removed 2 competitors and reshaped the pricing power of the entire sector. You did not intend that outcome. You were connecting people you trusted. The outcome emerged from the connection. The outcome benefited your portfolio. You note this without resolution. You do not resolve it. There is no clean place to put it. 2 founders you backed filed complaints against each other in a funding round you structured. You were on both cap tables. You had informed both parties of the conflict before you signed either term sheet. The disclosures were complete. You received legal comfort in writing. The process still felt wrong in a way that documentation did not address. You move on. That is what you do at this level. You move on with full awareness that moving on is itself a choice, and that choice accumulates. There is no title for this level. The fund is $2.4 billion, but the fund is not what you are managing anymore. You are managing the ecosystem. You co-invest with 4 of the largest sovereign wealth funds on the planet. You share deal flow with 2 other firms of your caliber under a structured agreement that no one has written a news article about, and no one will. When you take a company public, your positioning in the secondary market is set before the S-1 is filed, not because of anything illegal, because everyone involved has read the same signals and drawn the same conclusion. That is what information asymmetry looks like at full resolution. You have built a network that functions as a permanent information advantage, not inside information, structural proximity, a different kind of edge. The distinction is real. It is also convenient. You know that it is convenient. You hold both of those things at the same time, and you make the next decision anyway. You have a meeting this week with a sovereign wealth fund in Singapore. They want to anchor your next vehicle. $600 million from a single LP. You have not decided yet. A single LP of that size changes the fund's dynamics permanently, changes who you answer to, quietly, in ways that never appear in the LPA. You are thinking about this. The number is large. The constraint is invisible. These are the decisions that define what you actually are, as opposed to what you say you are. You are still thinking. 3 calls this week from founders you have never met. They know someone who knows someone. They are 26, 27, 28 years old. They have built something real, or they believe they have. They are calling because they have heard your name in a room you were not present for. You remember what that meant, the first time someone called you because of your name, not your firm, your name. You remember exactly where you were sitting, the city, the chair, the quality of the light. You remember it because you understood in that moment that something had shifted permanently. You could not go back to the side of the table where the call was a long shot. You were now the person being called. That is a one-way door. You walked through it without a second thought, and you have never looked back, and you never will. Somewhere on a floor below nobody else can afford, an associate opens a pitch deck at 11:48 at night. The founder is promising. The market is real. The numbers are early, but the shape is right. The associate writes 4 paragraphs in a memo no partner will read fully. She will present it in 8 minutes on Thursday. She will be asked one question she did not prepare for. She will answer it anyway, from instinct, and the answer will be better than anything she rehearsed. Someone in the room will notice. They will not say so. She will not know, but the door will open exactly 1 degree. She thinks this is about the deal. She is already working on the wrong equation. The deal is not the point. The deal is the entrance exam. The actual test started the moment she picked up the phone to call the founder for the first time. She is in the middle of a test she does not know she is taking. She will pass it. The machine will take another step forward.